What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 33 of the Yard Podcast. I'm your host, Randy.
And I'm your host, Konu.
And we've got kind of a fun episode. Things are sort of started picking up a little bit with winter meetings starting on Sunday. So we've seen a few trades, seen a couple signings. Dodgers made a trade of their own. Non-tender deadline hit. So we'll get into all of that. The very first thing that I have to mention off the bat is some awesome, great news. Last week we recorded our episode, told you guys update on Tommy Lasorda. However, shortly after we recorded that, of course, like always, the information came out that he's actually out of the ICU. He is still hospitalized. However, he is in rehab at Orange County Hospital. So he's still in the hospital, but he's recovering a lot better and he's out of the ICU. So that's a fantastic year because 2020 has been awful as is. And as we've seen, even with we've lost a lot of baseball legends this year, and it's extremely unfortunate. So we need Tommy. We all need to see him back at the stadium next year. I love that guy. He's the heart and soul of that Dodgers organization. So good news there. In our baseball world, the Dodgers got moving a little bit right before the trade deadline. We all saw him pick up Corey Knebel, pitcher. So Konu, you did a piece on that. If you kind of want to just retouch up on that.
Yeah, so the Dodgers traded cash considerations or a player to be named later for Corey Knebel, and then they tendered him a contract for his $5 million salary. Knebel is a former All-Star who's coming off with Tommy John surgery that made him miss all of 2019. It started out the 2020 season a bit rocky, but because he was just getting back. But as the season went along, his fastball velocity jumped from the low 90s to almost 96 miles per hour. And in September, he looked much more like he did when he was healthy. So if that's a sign that he's getting healthier and back into form, he's going to be a really good pitcher out of the pen for the Dodgers. And this definitely fits into that low risk, high reward category. I know Friedman was talking about getting different looks out of the bullpen, since most of the pitchers are either two seam or sinker type pitchers, and they definitely get a different look from Knebel, who's a rising four seamer and a knuckle curveball pitcher. His profile reads like Joe Kelly's, but Joe Kelly pitches backwards, so Joe Kelly's mostly knuckle curve, whereas Knebel is more of his rising four seam. All in all, I think this is going to be a really good move for the Dodgers, especially if he's getting healthy.
Yeah, I liked it. As soon as I saw it get mentioned, I knew the name stuck with me, but then I remembered you mentioned it. So I, of course, text you and asked you right away, like, we just talked about this, give me more info. I'm excited. I know you were. I'm excited. I think Friedman, we kind of every year, I don't want to say this is like a fixer up because he's always been good, but we see the front office kind of do this every year where they either pick up someone who was hurt, someone who used to be very good. So I like the move. I think it could be huge. We need to really go after that bullpen if they're going to do much. Of course, we need a third baseman, but I think the bullpen for me is the biggest thing. And when he found out he was traded, he was a little bummed. Brewers were his team. However, he did say if there's a team to go to, it's the World Series champions. So I like it. He knows where he wants to be, and he knows this is the place to be. So I'm excited to see him in action next year.
Oh, it's definitely gonna be fun. And he might, if the Dodgers don't make any more moves, I think he's gonna end up being closer by the end of the season.
Hey, I'll take it.
So on to other news. The tender deadline had passed, and the Dodgers tendered all their players. There was some speculation that maybe Scott Alexander would get non-tendered, but he was tendered a contract with the absence of Ferguson. Having another lefty to go with Victor Gonzalez and Adam Kolarek seems like a good idea. Plus, it was only $1 million. So yeah, the Dodgers tendered all their players, and there were some interesting options that were non-tendered that could be a possibility for.
I do want to. I do want to interrupt you super fast, just because I noticed on Twitter and Instagram, some people don't know what non-tendered and tendered means. Basically, anyone that was eligible to not become a free agent, the Dodgers have agreed they will give a contract to them. So it's mainly your younger guys, Bellinger, Seager, Buehler, Urias, Barnes, and Floro. They're not yet free agents. So we don't know how much they're going to get paid. They'll have to figure it out before arbitration. We'll explain arbitration when we get closer to that deadline. But if someone ever says the Dodgers tendered a player a contract, it basically just means they're agreeing to a contract and they'll figure out the terms later. I just want to throw that in there.
Okay, yeah. So some interesting non-tendered options. There was Hansel Robles from the Angels, really bad last year, but he was really good the previous 2 years. I'm not really sure what exactly happened, but his walks per nine jumped from 2.7 the previous 2 years to 5.6 this year. So he completely lost control of his pitches, and that really hurt him. He still had a really good strikeout rate, struck out more than 10 per 9 innings. So the stuff is definitely there. It just needs to be refined a little bit. And I think this is where the Dodgers come in handy, do what they do best, tweak some things, and get him back to his 2018, 2019 self. Another option I was intrigued by, this was at first, I have since fallen back from it, but it was Kyle Schwarber. He's a big power from the left side. And then as I thought about it more, I was like, I think him and Jock are the same. Did a lot of digging, and they are indeed the exact same player. Like I told you, I still prefer Schwarber. I think there's more upside there than with Jock, but I'm also fine with neither option.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. Don't see him coming back. I actually don't know if I see either of these players coming back, but there is some interest in some of our guys, Jock being one of them. Like I said, I don't really see Jock coming back. The White Sox have shown interest. However, they did sign Adam Eaton today, so I don't think they will be going after Jock anymore. Who knows, but it seems unlikely. The Cardinals and the Brewers are also showing interest, so just because the Dodgers aren't mentioned doesn't mean they're not talking to them. But I also, like I said, I don't see either of them actually, or well, I don't see Jock coming back. Another one that's showing interest, or the Twins showing interest in Kike. Apparently they're showing quite a good amount in Kike. I think he would possibly be good for that team, be fun. I don't know what they need because they seem to do well every year until they hit the playoffs. So Kike does like to show up in October, so maybe that'd be good for them. But yeah,
I did a little research because I don't think anybody knows, but one of my, I don't want to say friends, but someone who I'm acquainted with plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves, so I follow Minnesota a little bit, and their reporter was saying that they had interest in Kike because they wanted a younger utility player because they had Marvin Gonzalez, who's utility. They wanted a younger one. So there's Kike. I think it'd be a nice fit. Despite it being really cold, I've heard nothing but really good things about the Minneapolis area. So, and with Kike starting a family, I think that makes sense for him. But also, Kike's Puerto Rican, correct?
Yes.
Right. So with him being Puerto Rican, I think like the Florida and Bronx, which is the Yankees, makes sense as well since they have like a large population of Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, I've always thought like Kike is a fun player to me, and I've always thought like the Marlins have just needed someone who can kind of bring that like fun to their team, and I think Kike would be great for that. But yeah, I think Minneapolis, he'd be a lot of fun too. I feel like Minneapolis is a good team. I'm gonna be honest, I don't pay attention to too many AL teams, so I don't know how many I don't want to say like they don't have exciting players, but I always feel like there's certain players that either make it more fun or more interesting to watch.
I mean, they have Josh Donaldson, but he was hurt too.
Yeah,
though, so.
that's true. Yeah, I couldn't imagine a Josh Donaldson and Kike Hernandez. That'd be something interesting to watch because Josh Donaldson does have himself a personality for sure.
Yes,
so
a more intense one, but it's there.
Yeah, it's different, definitely a different one. But yeah, so those two Dodger free agents, haven't really heard anything about our other guys yet. Besides, like we heard, I think it was the Blue Jays that were interested in Turner, but nothing too deep. Hopefully things will heat up this week with winter meetings. As for two of our players, we do want to say congratulations. So first off, congratulations to Corey and Maddie Seager. They got married over the weekend, so happy for them. Seager's just pulling in all those rings right now. He's the MVP awards ring, so happy for them. Congratulations, and congratulations to Brusdar Gratterall and his now fiance Allison. They got engaged as of yesterday, so I feel like we see this every off season with the Dodgers. We've got so many young guys. There's always 2 weddings or 6 proposals in the off season, right. But
because the Justin Turner free agency one, he was getting married that year, wasn't he?
Yeah, because it was the same year Kenley was, and they talked at Jansen's wedding. So free agency, and not even just free agency, but these Dodgers in the off season, it's always fun to watch. Hey, I told you, I think Corey and Maddie, I think that's a beautiful couple, man.
And even before the season, Bueller got engaged too, so he's going to be married soon.
Yeah, and I think Smith is getting married sometime this off season. So I can't keep up. congratulations to all of them, but those two most recently. We want to do something. It's called Make the Case. Basically, every week we are going to take a player that's on the market. We're not just going to take all of them. It's got to be ones that at least somewhat make sense for the Dodgers, even if it's a little far off. So I'm going to give you, for this week, we're going to talk about DJ Lemahieu, and I'm going to give you the reason why he would be a good option for the Dodgers to sign, and Konu's going to attempt to tell you why he shouldn't be signed. So I'm going to go first because I have the easier of the two. First things first is they need a third baseman. He has played most of his time at second base. From what you told me, it sounds like he might even prefer second base just because he's played more time there, which the Dodgers could use too, depending on what goes on with Lux. In my opinion, though, if LeMahieu were to become a Dodger, which I don't know if I actually see happening, you either at that point have to trade Lux because you can't just keep him sitting in the farm, or you better get Corey Seager to say, I'm okay with playing third, which I don't think you're going to get either, at least not this season, and then move Lux to shortstop. So it all would depend on what's going on there. Another big thing, though, is it would give them another very good right-handed bat in the lineup. And this isn't your typical kind of, not obviously Mookie isn't like this, but a lot of Dodgers are big home run hitters, swing or miss. LeMahieu was not that. He would give them a good contact bat at the top of the lineup. He's won Silver Slugger the last 2 seasons. He's had 3 Gold Gloves over his career. Both, I think all of those came in Colorado. Had him at second base with 2 Wilson Defensive Player of the Year awards. Won the batting title in 2020. He led the AL in OBP and OPS. And he finished in top 5 MVP voting the last 2 seasons. And we all know Dodgers need help with hitting against lefties. So his career slash line versus lefties is 325, 381, 475 with an 856 OPS. So he's pretty much fantastic. So I'm going to let you try to say why the Dodgers wouldn't want to sign him, because I had a hard time figuring that out.
Yeah, this wasn't an easy task at all. But he's 32. He'll be 33 sometime during the season. Before he got to the Yankees, he was largely a big negative on offense. He's hit 36 home runs in 195 games with the Yankees. The Yankees also have a pretty small stadium, so it's unlikely that that power will translate to Dodger Stadium or other parks. His WRC away from his hitter-friendly ballparks is 87, which is well below average because the average is 100. His walk rate, which is already average, drops down while his strikeout rate jumps up 3 percentage points. He hits better in the leadoff position, but that's Mookie has that on lock. He can't hit second because Seager has that on lock, which leads to him hitting third, where he's hitting 152 with an OPS of 421. He has 0 hits batting fourth. He's batting 190 batting fifth. So the further it goes down the lineup until you get to the A spot, hasn't really been a good hitter. Plus, I'm still really high on Gavin Lux. I think he should be the second baseman going forward, getting the majority of the opportunities. I think with consistent playing time, you'll see a much better player who has a higher ceiling than DJ LeMahieu does. So while DJ's had 3 very great years, he's also had 7 below average years. He could very well be on the decline. I'll take my chances with the guy who's 10 years younger.
Okay, so you were a little nitpicky, but not as bad as I thought. Those were good points. They were, so like you said, slightly nitpicky because you had to make a point, and it was kind of hard to look at his stats overall unless you go very deep into them. I felt like with LeMahieu,
but the deeper you go, the more you see that he shouldn't decline that badly.
Yeah.
So it was very nitpicky.
So it was nitpicky because you had no choice.
I had 0 choice.
It's like trying to say, well, why shouldn't Mookie Betts? Why shouldn't you sign Mookie Betts? He had 1 bad year in the playoffs. Like that's basically like you just nitpicky the small shit. But yeah, LeMahieu's great. Again, though, like we've kind of talked about, he wants a 5-year deal. I just don't see that coming from the Dodgers, especially not.
I don't think he's going to get that anywhere.
Yeah, that's
also get like 3 with an option.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot, especially for a guy who, like you said, he has been fantastic these last few years. Offense before that, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like this big thing you're seeing now. And Yankees, it is a hitter ballpark, very different than Dodger Stadium. So I don't think he ends up in LA, but I kept thinking of like a Mookie, Seager, LeMahieu lineup with Bellinger most likely hitting fourth. And that I'd be for it, especially I love myself a contact hitter. I think Mookie gives us that contact, but a lot of power as well. LeMahieu is much more contact, but He's, in my opinion, he probably stays in. I think he stays a Yankee. I don't think the Yankees can afford to let him go, to be honest. I don't know. I feel like that Yankees are so weird. They're such a stacked team, but they seem to never be able to actually figure it out when they need to. I don't think they can
It's
lose
funny
to
because
afford him.
there's a lot of talk of the Dodgers choking in the playoffs, and the Yankees do a whole lot of that as well.
Yep.
Now I know I get it because they've won 27, so you kind of just let them slide. But
Have they won
when's the last
27? Because
time they
I
won?
had no idea that Yankees have won 27 rings. Nobody would ever know that the Yankees have won 27 rings.
When's the last time they won?
10,
2010,
I think,
9,
something like that.
2009.
either 2009. Since then, they've done nothing but choke in the playoffs
Yeah.
with really good teams. So
every year it's supposed to
they're
be the
weird garbage.
Dodgers. Every year it's supposed to be the Dodgers versus the Yankees. And in the last 4 years, only the Dodgers have showed up 3 times in that World Series. So, yeah,
That's a fact.
yeah. I always thought
And
the
we got
choking
cheated in
thing,
one of those.
yeah, well, yeah, and very badly too. So, but yeah, so we're gonna try to do that for you guys every week. I don't think they're ever gonna get any harder than Lemahieu is. So our for and against, we should have some good arguments coming up. As for where we're at right now, the all MLB team, very quickly, nothing big here, but it is. I think this is the second year they're now doing it. We have 4 players who are all finalists: Justin Turner, Corey Seager, Mookie Betts, and Clayton Kershaw. So I have to admit, you're probably
This
gonna
is
have
for
the all MLB team.
MLB.
Yeah.
So Mookie and Seager makes sense.
For
I
sure.
think Kershaw might have an outside case. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know why the fuck Turner's in there unless I am missing something. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Arenado had an awful year. So
Machado was better.
Yeah,
Jose
but Machado
Ramirez
was much better. Yeah, I don't think Turner's making it. Machado is gonna get that there. I'll tell you the third baseman who are there. The third baseman is Machado, Ramirez, and Turner. So Turner's the very last option.
I have to look at third baseman. I still don't know.
It was so it's because of his 307 average and 400 on base percentage. That I'm just what the article says. I have no. I'm just telling you what that says.
Fair enough.
So
missed a lot of games, but fair enough.
Yeah, but he had a higher on base percentage and average than Machado. But Machado was on a stoop.
We all know Turner can hit when healthy.
Yeah.
So there's no questioning that. It's just everything else seems to. But all right,
need him to stay healthy. Yeah. No, it looks like it's all offense. It looks like they're not even mentioning defense in any of this. So, yeah.
Which is weird because Machado's good at defense.
Yeah. So we've got those guys. You can vote every 24 hours. Or no, sorry, you were. My bad. All the stuff this year has sucked when they got their articles out because of coronavirus. They've been so behind. Yeah, see, like this article just came out today about the all MLB team, and they're making the announcement tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time who made the team, or sorry, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I don't even know when all this happened. I just know that they got in here. Apparently there's voting that's been going on since November 13th. I feel horrible that I didn't know that, but like, also
actually I've been voting very sparingly, but I have been voting.
I might have voted once, but I'll be honest. I think that I literally stopped paying attention to any awards like that after we won the World Series, because I'm like, fuck it, your individual awards don't matter anymore. I'm just kidding. They do matter to them, but like in my mind, I always did the votes after the fact because it was like, we have nothing to win. We just lost in the playoffs. Let me at least help my guys get some votes. And this year, I'm like,
I remember voting.
I don't care.
And I was trying to be as fair as possible. Unfortunately, I voted for Mookie. A few times I voted for Seager. Other times I think I might have chosen another shortstop for some reason. I don't know.
I always
I
always vote fairly in those because I don't think it's fair to the players who go to arbitration and use all-star games and all that stuff as arguments. That's why I've never been a fan of, or I've never liked fan voting because it's a major popularity contest. And I think players use this stuff to try to make more money, and it's on their freaking baseball reference pages. So it's like, this means something to them. So I always try to actually vote on stats, not my personal favorites, just because I feel like it's not fair to the players to do it any other way. But we're probably in the minority there, which is fine. I'm okay with that. It's every team, every fan base votes their team. And that's how we all got that screwed up all-star game with like 8 Cubs that one year. It was so stupid. But another big award that is coming out is the Hank Aaron Award, which is your best offensive player of the year. So I'm not 100% sure how they go about that because there's so many different offensive stats you can go off. I'll be honest, I kind of always thought it was like home runs because it's Hank Aaron. But they're gonna announce the winners actually at 2 p.m. Eastern today. So you can check that out on MLB.com or on MLB Network.
One for each league or just one overall?
One for each league. Your NL
So Freddie
finalists.
Freeman.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman's gonna win. Seager did get in there.
Okay.
But he's not gonna win. AL finalists. I think it's gonna be Abreu because he won MVP. Or possibly Nelson Cruz or again Lemahieu, but their finalists are Abreu, Cruz, Teoscar Hernandez, Lemahieu, Brandon Lowe, Jose Ramirez, and Mike Trout. So NL has a lot of good finalists too, though, with Freeman.
This is just for best hitter.
Yeah, offensive performance.
LeMahieu should win.
Yeah, he'll probably. Yeah, I think it goes to Freddie though, but for the NL finalists, it's Freeman, Goldschmidt, Harper, Machado, Seager, Dominic Smith, and Soto. So I think that'll go to Freeman. Makes a ton of sense. He had a great
there are Soto. Two names that I didn't think I'd ever hear: Teoscar Hernandez and Dominic Smith.
Teoscar Hernandez threw me off. Dominic Smith had it. Yeah, that's a name too. I never thought, but he had a crazy year. He was very good. But yeah, I don't see Seager winning that, but it's cool he made it in there. I think it goes to Freeman and Abreu, possibly Lemahieu. Soto might have a chance too.
I think it's Freeman and Lemahieu.
Yeah, I think Soto has a chance, but Soto missed like 13 games this season, so I think that's going to hurt him. So that probably goes to Freddie Freeman there. And then only a couple more things in the Dodgers are kind of Dodger world, but the Rule 5 draft, there's been some talk about some Dodger players getting picked up and who might be interested. So you're our prospect guy. So give me what you got.
Yeah, the Rule 5 draft is Thursday, I believe, since that's the last day of the winter meetings. There was an article on MLB Pipeline that had mentioned that there's the top 10 most intriguing prospects, and the Dodgers had 3 of them. So first on the list was Omar Estevez, who's an offensive first type player, mediocre defensively, but they feel like it's easy to see a team giving him a shot at a middle infield position because they believe in his bat. Next on the list was Marshall Kosowski, who I thought was going to be in the bullpen for the Dodgers. I think he's about ready. He struck out 177 batters in 107 minor league innings. His fastball sits in the mid-90s with late life, and he complements that with a good curveball. And third on the list was Jordan Sheffield, who some think has future closer potential. He was drafted as a starter, but really struggled with his command. He got moved to the bullpen where his command really didn't get any better, but he still strikes out a ton of people. So he's clearly got the stuff, but for whatever reason, they just can't fix his command issues. And then there was another article that came out that also mentioned Brett DeGuy, I can't remember. I don't know how to say his name.
I think you got it right first time.
Okay. Shea Spitzbarth, Christian Santana, and Cody Thomas. Obviously, Cody Thomas is of spring training fame, where it felt like everything he hit was a home run. But he's also, unsurprisingly, strikes out a ton, probably like over 30% of the time. Interesting enough, JP Hoonstra actually tweeted out that he said internally the Dodgers expect Estevez to get drafted, so they're expecting him to be gone. Didn't say anything else for the other players, but they are expecting Estevez to be drafted somewhere.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw his name pop up the most, so that'll be interesting. I'm guessing you will be paying attention to that. So once we have a little bit information on that, we'll give you guys more about whether if the Dodgers pick anyone up. If they lose them, probably not going to give you much information on them. We'll just tell you they're gone. But if we pick anyone up,
like I mentioned a few weeks ago, I think they'll be okay losing him, considering there's still Lux, there's still
that was the one that everyone
Michael Bush. There's a whole bunch of people in the middle infield.
That was the one everyone was
him.
confused about, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
And then when I looked deeper, it made sense.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see. He'll probably be gone. I keep seeing his name mentioned all over Twitter for teams interested in. Now I have another trade proposal for you, moving away from the Rule 5 draft, but of course, plenty of prospects. Well, not plenty. It's actually only a few, but we talked about Nolan Arenado, and I will say when you brought up that trade proposal, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, my first reaction was kind of like, what the fuck? I thought about it on a little bit more. It is something I'd be willing to give a little bit more thought to. Initial reaction seemed like a lot. if I took more time to look at the players' names, might change my mind. However, here was another proposal for Arenado. And the only reason I want to bring it up is because I know how high you feel. It's not Lux. I know how high you feel about this other guy. So they want to know Kyber Ruiz, Josiah Gray, and Amaya. Jacob Amaya. No? You wouldn't do it?
Nope.
So is it Gray?
Yep.
Okay, I thought so. As soon as I saw his name, I'm like, I'm asking him because he said he'd be able to do almost anything for Arenado. I'm like, there's no way he's giving up. I was like, there's no way he's gonna say yes for Gray. Right. Gray's also our number one pitching prospect.
Yes,
so.
that makes the most sense because so with my trade, I feel like they were giving up more because there wasn't that impact.
It was depth.
Player. Like Gray's, it's more depth than it is. Whatever the case. So like with mine, it was. Obviously, it had more players, but they weren't of the caliber of a Gray or Ruiz because Ruiz is 2, Gray's 1.
Yeah. Especially if I'm not getting 100. I mean, I wouldn't want to give up. I like Gray a lot. I'm very, very excited to see him. I mean, besides the fact that he's a very good pitcher, he just seems like a great guy. Like I like him a lot as a person and as a player from what we've seen. I'm excited. So I really think he's going to get his shot in 2021.
I've said this and I might be the only one and that's okay. I am higher on Gray than I am Justin May.
I think you said that. Which, I mean, I don't blame you. They're two totally different type of pitchers. I'm excited. Like I said, I think Gray would have got his chance this year had COVID not been a thing. I think he would have got enough time in AAA to maybe see a start or two at the big league level. So granted, we don't know what's happening in 2021. I don't know if we'll get a full season, but I do think we will get enough baseball that we will see Gray up there at some point. He's just too good for me to keep sitting down there. I still think he was a huge steal in the trade with the Reds to begin with.
Because I think when that trade originally happened, more people were excited about Downs, and then Gray ended up being higher than Downs.
Yeah, I mean, picking up Downs and Gray for freaking Puig, Wood, Farmer, and who was it, Kemp, was insane to begin with. But like, even just the fact that we got Gray out of that deal and he's still in our system, and freaking Jeter Downs was a big piece. I mean, he wasn't the piece, but he was a big part of the Mookie Betts trade. So it's like, we got a lot out of that trade to Cincinnati, and I think we're going to see a lot out of Gray.
Thank you, Reds. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't know who thought that was a good trade for the Reds, but no offense to the ex-Dodgers, but like, those are some good prospect picks. I'll take it. Okay, I just wanted to see your thought on that with Gray in there. I felt the same. I don't want to.
If it's just one of Gray or Ruiz, then maybe I still don't want to go Gray. But if it's just one of Gray or Ruiz, then I would think about it more. But if it's those two, those are our top 2 best prospects in the system. No.
Yeah. No, I like Gray a lot. I like Ruiz a lot. Don't have much opinion on Amaya just because he's younger and not quite up there.
He's higher ranked than Estevez.
Yeah. I remember him briefly from like spring training because me and my friends were there a couple of years ago, and whoever, like, I don't blame him at all because whoever his uncle is was very proud that his nephew was Jacob Amaya. And so that was like my first time ever hearing who his name was because we were there and he's like, oh, my nephew's Jacob Amaya. And I'm like, I think I've heard that name, but I was like, oh, cool. Proud family member. It's always cool when you find out that they are young. Yeah, I'd do the same. I would do the same exact thing. I'd be like, that's my nephew right there. I'd be making custom jerseys and everything. I wouldn't even care if he's on the team yet. So yeah, I don't know what'll happen with Arenado. I will say, which we're going to go into a little bit deeper, we'll give our thoughts on. There's reportedly not going to be a DH in 2021. I don't know if this changes the Dodgers' perspective on going after Arenado more, knowing like if they feel the same way about Turner's defense as the stats say they should feel about Turner's defense. I don't know if this changes the fact that they go after Turner and maybe say, you know what, we do need that defense at third base. But then you run into the whole thing of how do you re-sign Seager if you bring on Arenado's massive contract. So I think there's a lot of things that go into that play. I do not want to leave Seager. We're going to keep telling you this, extend Corey Seager. Because he's like I said, that dude is now locked up with
trade Corey Seager.
Did you say trade? What are you doing here? Because I know that's a lie.
Yeah, it's all jokes.
Don't put that out there in the universe. I can't. We need him back. I'm going to be so mad if the Dodgers somehow screw that up. Like, we got Mookie, which is fantastic. And now give me Seager and I'll be happy. Give me that 1-2 punch for like the next 8-10 years and I'll be happy.
Man, that's disgusting. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be, oof. That would be
Especially
fantastic.
if his health issues are behind him.
And not to mention, we know the DH is coming for sure to the NL at some point. So they can easily put Seager in there at that spot. But hey, that man's now married. He's got his woman for life. So let's get him a baseball team for life. And I'd like that baseball team to be in LA. So get on it, Dodgers.
They absolutely should do that. Before we move on to more important things. Okay, so I quickly put this in there, but it's a player I think the Dodgers are interested in. Okay, so a few days ago, there was a report saying that a team or teams inquired about Marcus Semien playing second or third. So when I first saw this, my thought was, I guarantee you the Dodgers are one of those teams that asked him if he wanted to play second or third. We all know the Dodgers love positional versatility. And it's also been reported that Semien is willing to take a shorter deal to kind of build himself back up while also letting teams build their money back up. This just screams Dodgers, and the Dodgers' biggest needs right now are second and third base.
And you said a short deal, like 1 or 2 year, maybe?
Yeah.
Which would be fantastic with Hosey coming up, and they could find a way to re-sign Seager and
that's exactly
Hosey
where
take over at third. Okay.
So moving him to second or third, where he's might be better suited, that allows the Dodgers time to get Hosey and Bush second and third base, who to get ready while also not missing a beat. Now, Semien is a right-handed bat. He usually hits lefties pretty well. It's not great like Lemahieu or Arenado, but it's better than what the Dodgers currently have. He has a lot of offensive upside, and moving positions should allow him to be better defensively. He's been really inconsistent at short. He's got really good years and then really bad years, so I don't know what the problem is there. His range seems fine. His arm is probably average, so slight pause at third, but because of the range, he might give him more time to gather himself and make a strong throw to third, while second, he has good enough range and it's not that far to where the throw would be all over the place. And so yeah, it shouldn't hurt them defensively, and he should be cheaper than DJ LeMahieu while also being a few years younger.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be an interesting pickup. Like you said, my biggest thing would be the time. It allows them to have someone who can play second or third if needed. You can, not that it's the number one option to do this, but you could always have Muncy or Rios at third base for a couple games to fill in if you needed to. You could move Semien to second if you don't want Lux facing a lefty. So there's moves that can be done that are helpful. And as we all know, the Dodgers love that. So
they love it.
Not that I'm personally stuck on Turner. I try very hard not to get personally attached to players, because for me, I want to see them win and I want what's best for the team. I just have a hard time not seeing the Dodgers bringing Turner back.
Fair enough.
And it's not my personal opinion how I feel about him. It's just the Dodgers. So, but again, if he doesn't,
this offseason, I'm big on two things in particular. One, let Turner walk. Two, start Austin Barnes.
This Austin Barnes thing. Nobody is even gonna. Oh God, dude. I posted the other day.
People think I'm joking, and I'm not joking at all.
People on Twitter. Oh, I know you're not, and I'm right there with you, because people on Twitter the other day, I asked if we should trade, because they're talking about Kyber Ruiz being possibly the Dodgers' biggest trade candidate this offseason, just because he's a good prospect in depth. And a lot of people said Will Smith is the future of the Dodgers. And like, everyone is free to their opinions. I'm never going to tell fans how they should feel. However, Will Smith is awful defensively. Awful. The more I've dug into their stats, and I'm doing season reviews currently on every player. We're releasing them Monday through Friday. You're going to see the numbers between Smith and Barnes, what they do behind the plates, to kind of give you a little bit more breakdown. But I don't know how I feel about Will Smith long-term behind the plate if he does not figure it out. That's really all I'm going to say. So I'm right there with you with Austin Barnes starting. My catcher needs to be able to handle the pitchers well, way better than he needs to be able to swing a bat. So
big facts.
I'm always going to take my catcher who can call a better game over a catcher who can hit well. So that's where I am at. But hey, you said we had to move on to bigger and more important things, and this is very important. The Dodgers were the fourth most tweeted team in sports in 2020. But you know what made me laugh about this was LA in general, because LA is always called bandwagon fans, yet 2 LA teams, only 2 US teams made it into the top 4, and it was the Lakers and the Dodgers. And then you had soccer with Manchester United and FC Barcelona. So yeah, Dodger fans and Laker fans showed up on Twitter this year. Least surprising thing, I feel like the Dodgers and Dodger Stadium always end up as like top locations on Instagram.
When I saw it, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little surprised because I mean soccer is the biggest sport in the world. So I figured they would easily have the, I don't know, top 5 to 10.
They basically did. Once you got rid of the Lakers and Dodgers, it was basically all soccer top 10 outside of the Lakers and Dodgers. So I think those world championships gave the Lakers and the Dodgers that boost. Without those, maybe not the most chance that they talk about that. But into MLB news, we don't have a lot. Just we like to try and keep you guys updated what's going on since it is the off season. Winter meetings started on Sunday. They will end the 10th, which is like when Konu mentioned, we will have that Rule 5 draft. This part a little bit we can discuss because I know there's different opinions on it everywhere, but reportedly there will not be a DH in 2021. They will have to wait until negotiating the CBA prior to the 2022 season. So this bugs me, and a big reason it bugs me is because we saw the sport, how much more fun it was for a lot of people. Secondly, it bugs me because I think MLB is using it as a bargaining chip, and that bugs me more than anything, that it's being used as a bargaining chip and not what is actually better for the sport. This is now 15 players who could potentially have jobs after a rough 2020 season, who may most likely now not have that type of DH job and may make less money or have to sign a minor league deal because their only thing they can do is hit. But with an NL team, sometimes if all you can do is hit, it's not good enough. Unfortunately, I have always been anti-DH. I've always hated it. I never wanted it in the NL. After seeing it in play for a season, I like it a lot. We don't need to see pitchers get hurt. We saw way too many injuries this season alone with pitchers getting hurt. We don't know how 2021 is going to be with coronavirus. Last thing I need is Kershaw, Buehler, May, whoever it may be, going out there and getting hit by a pitch because pitchers aren't throwing the ball well or whatever the case may be. So I'm not happy with this. I think MLB just continues to shoot themselves in the foot. So I kind of feel like you're on the same page, but I wanted to also hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. So before the season, obviously there was a lot of skeptics, but as by season's end, most of them enjoyed the DH, including a lot of players. I didn't like the DH at first either, as somewhat of a purist, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized it's not such a bad thing, and I hate watching pitchers hit. It's nauseating to me. I'm not gonna lie. And the DH just allows better hitters to play and gives an opportunity to players who can't find a position because either someone else is in their position or they're not good at fielding, but they could still use their bat in the lineup. And pitchers will still get to play every 5 days. They're pitchers. So they'll still get to play. They won't get to hit, but whatever. They'll still be on the mound doing their thing. And it's nice not having an automatic out in the lineup.
Mm-hmm. And it's nice when you do go to the World Series and play an AL team, it's nice to, have that player who can actually play DH, not go as the NL team. I wonder what extra player we can throw in there at DH, because that's kind of what you have to do as an NL team. A lot of teams are not stacked like the Dodgers, where they just actually have like a DH just chilling in the dugout every game. Not to mention, I sent you this, so I'm going to speak on it really quickly, but the Dodgers designated hitter, if you combine all of them, which they used a lot of different guys in the designated spot. They had Beatty, Bellinger, Barnes, Betts, Gore, Kike, Lux, McKinstry, Muncy, Jock, Pollock, Rios, Seager, Smith, Taylor, and Turner. Every single one of them at least one game at DH. Now, to give you an idea, when it came to production this year in the majors, the Dodgers finished 4th in batting average for DH, 4th in OBP, 10th in slugging, and 8th in OPS. So this benefited the Dodgers basically like just having another top talent player out there at all times.
For a lot of people, they always say, oh, it just locks one person into that spot, which isn't the case. And they're always like, oh, well, there'll never be a pinch hitting situation That's not the case either, because like you just mentioned, I mean, the Dodgers are the Dodgers, and they have tremendous depth. But the fact that they used, was it like 11? You just named 11 people. I don't know. It was a ton of people.
It was 17. It was
They used 17
almost
people
a whole roster
for DH. So when people say, "Oh, it just locks one player," that's not the case. I don't think any of these players are David Ortiz. You can't just lock them in there. Again, it helps with the versatility, because you can have Mookie DH and then put, I don't know, Taylor in right field, or put Bellinger in right field, put Taylor in center. There's so many moving parts when you use a DH just to get a player off their feet for a day or two.
I mean, it was huge for us this year. We saw Seager get pulled from that game for the back injury. I think it was against the Giants at some point this season. And he went on to have 9 games at DH. Without that DH spot, do we just lose Seager's production for 9 games because he can't defensively play shortstop because his back hurts? Probably. Same thing with Turner for 10 games when he got hurt. And same thing, Betts even got in there for the 2 games when he hurt I think it was his hand or his finger or something when he was playing defense. So it's a big thing. And like you said, myself, I've always considered myself as your purist. I've tried to move away from that by accepting like the whole let the kids play. I think it's fantastic for baseball. I think it is so much fun. And I think this is the same thing. Like every time you talk about DH, you'll always have someone post a video of Clayton Kershaw's home run against the Giants on opening day years ago. And they will always say, well, what about moments like this? And I get it. I was at Ryu's
10 years ago.
I was at Ryu's home run in 2019. I get it. It's cool. It's a lot of fun.
That was legit fun.
But that was one hit out of an entire, like Kershaw's been in the league for like over a decade, and that's his one home run. And it's like, that's awesome. It's a fantastic moment. But think of all the other times Kershaw came up with runners in scoring position, and Kershaw can hit. He's a decent hitting pitcher, but he's still not very good when you put him he's not good at all when you put him next to an actual MLB hitter. So when it comes down to it, you've got to look like, yes, there are times where you have fun with a pitcher hitting, or they look funny running or laying down a bunt, whatever the case may be. But how many of these pitchers can actually do this at a elite enough level that it makes the game competitive all the time? Is none of them, not one of them. I didn't like Greinke's very good, but still, if you put Greinke up there every single day, he's not going to hit the way I don't think any pitcher is going to be hitting that way unless they are out there every single day getting in at bats, because hitting a baseball is not easy. So I would rather
there is Ohtani, but he's one.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's the thing. And you have guys that can do that, but like, cool, then he can be a DH on the day he's not pitching. He doesn't need to have his at-bats on his 1 out of 5 days. So I'm a little disappointed in MLB. I think they keep hurting themselves. I think they basically it's a giant FU to the fans. It's a FU to the players. Like, we don't care. We're going to use it as a bargaining chip, which I think is just awful for the sport. Just get rid of Manfred. That's all I want. He's under contract until 2024. He needs to be gone much sooner than that, because I'm very afraid of where this sport is going to be 2025 if he is under contract for the next 3 more years. So yeah. As for, this is very quickly, we're not really going to talk too much about this, but a couple signings and trades that have happened over the last week. Raisel Iglesias was traded to the Angels for right-handed pitcher No Ramirez and a player to be named later, or cash considerations. Everybody knows the Angels need this, so good move for them.
They need more starting pitching than the bullpen.
They do. Yeah.
Good move.
Yeah. Bauer's name keeps getting brought up. That would be a huge one for them.
Because he keeps trolling them.
Yeah, he keeps tweeting at their fan base. I don't know what's going on there. So if he ends up there, they'll get their pitching together. So good for them. That's working. Well, we'll see if it works actually, but get Mike Trout some help. Stop wasting his prime years. Trevor May signed a 2-year, $15.5 million contract with the Mets. We knew the Mets would spend. Trevor May, in my opinion, decent reliever. So see him in the NL. He came from the Twins. Dodgers don't really have any experience against him. Start seeing him next year. Adam Eaton had his 1-year, $7 million deal with the White Sox, which is where we mentioned Jock was being looked at. So I think that cuts Jock out of that equation. And then Lance Lynn last night was traded to the White Sox for Dane Dunning and Avery Weems, which 2 White Sox prospects. There's arguments all over Twitter. You and I argued last night about whether or not this was a great move for the Rangers, great move for the White Sox. Yeah, just a little bit. Nothing, not like argued, but we saw a difference of opinions. It is a trade.
Okay, I was saying I wasn't arguing with anybody last
No,
night.
not like arguing, but we saw it a little differently. I thought it was more of a fleece by the Rangers, but White Sox are in win now mode. They play in a very weak division, so there's a very good.
So on Twitter, what were the reactions like?
It was all over the place.
Reddit,
it was like 50-50.
On Reddit, they think that it was a good trade for both teams.
It was like a 50-50. It was a Rangers fleece, but it was also, this could actually be a very good trade for both sides. So it went a little different.
I think it will be a pretty good trade for both sides.
It 100% has the potential to. I usually am not one to hold on to.
The White Sox lost because they had 0 after Giolito.
Yeah. Well, Keuchel, but yeah.
They had 0 after Giolito.
Yeah. They have, what's his name, if he comes back. I'm totally Kopech. Michael Kopech. And then that Garrett Crochet guy who was drafted, I think, this year and somehow made his debut, which is wild, but 2020 season was weird as is. So who knows? I like the White Sox.
They were kind of dealing from a position of depth a little bit.
Yeah, they were. I went and looked at their top prospects. It wasn't like the
Dodgers depth, but it's so they were allowed to get rid of someone. And also back to the White Sox and Jock really fast. Probably, yes, it does take them out, but also we've seen Eloy Jimenez be injured for 2 straight years now, so they could always use Jock as a backup to that, just in case.
Yeah, and Jock's a platoon guy.
I mean, I'm not saying they won't, but it's an option still, I think.
Yeah, you can never cut it out. I could see Jock too taking some type of 1-year deal because he was fantastic in the postseason, but we all know that MLB, whoever he's talking to, is going to hold his regular season numbers against him. And he was awful in 2020 regular season.
And they shouldn't, assholes. Yeah, he had a lot going on.
They shouldn't, but they will, because that's how.
I don't even want him back, but I'll fight for him.
Yeah. So I could see Jock taking a 1-year deal to kind of bet on himself, let his head be in a clean, like in a better, clear space going into 2021, let him focus, and then maybe. But it doesn't cut him out for sure. White Sox are an interesting team to watch. That AL
Brewers
Central
thing really threw me off. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know where he would go there, unless they were thinking DH, unless he was an option for a DH type of thing. So it sucks though. I don't like back to the DH thing really quickly. As for Lance Lynn, we'll see how it works out. Not my team, so I don't really care at the end of the day. But yeah, good move for the White Sox, good move for the Rangers. Could work out. As to the DH thing, I just think it sucks because there's a lot of players like Jock who probably would be signed much quicker if we had an answer on whether or not. There's guys out there that could be signed. It's not a guarantee there's no DH, but they're saying reportedly it sounds like there won't be. But Ken Rosenthal also said that if there was a DH, you're not going to hear complaints from either side that now all of a sudden there is a DH. So it could change last minute. Just more kind of stupid shit that I think MLB does.
It's still leaving players in limbo though.
Yeah, and it's what MLB does that hurts their own sport. They're slowing down free agency. This free agency.
And it's already slow. Like, come on, guys.
Like, free agency would be more fun if teams knew. If 15 NL teams knew they had to go out and sign, could you imagine the race for someone like Ozuna and everything that'd be going on with that? Like, right? Like, it'd make it a lot more fun.
But what I find crazy is like when the MLB, or not MLB, but when the NBA or NFL free agency starts, it's
a circus.
Craziness.
It's insane.
It's a whirlwind. Players are signing left and right. Trades are being made left and right. And then baseball's offseason, we're just like, it's January. Now players start signing here and there. And it's just like, okay.
You have NBA roll out their first day of free agency, and the top 5 best players that are available will all sign. And then NBA Twitter's popping off because you have every player commenting on the moves and everything going on. And like, I don't even care about basketball. I don't watch it.
They have a trade. They have a free agency special on ESPN.
That's cool. See, like, I don't even care that much about basketball. I pay attention because like it's sports, but like I enjoy NBA free agency, even though I don't really have a team or pay attention to it, just because it's so fast paced. It's fun. It's watching teams compete for players. So MLB has
even when there's downtime, there's still like 25 rumors going around. With MLB, you'll get like 2 or 3.
Yeah, we're here in winter meetings and we're like, oh, cool, the White Sox just signed Adam Eaton.
I completely forgot it was winter meetings. I thought it started today and then realized it started Sunday. I'm just like, there was 2 days of nothing.
Yeah, no, I woke up this morning. I'm like, oh, winter meetings. I'm gonna go turn on MLB Network, and then it was like, oh, it started on the 6th. I was like, oh, that was 2 days ago. I had no idea. So it sucks that it's not happening in person. That kills a lot of it. I think we're not going to see as much done. It's very different when GMs and all of that can go face to face and sit in a room for hours and talk things out versus having to go, okay, I'm going to call you on Zoom like I would anyways. Like nothing's changing. So we'll see what happens. But hey, we did get the Iglesias trade and Lynn trade. Both those happened, yesterday? Did Iglesias? I think Iglesias happened yesterday. My days are all mixed up at this point, but we're getting a little bit of movement. Could need more. It's always fun, especially the Dodgers.
Last week I said the Dodgers should take a look at Knebel, and then they immediately got him. This week the Dodgers should take a look at Mike Trout.
Okay, we're going to push it here. You're pushing your luck. That would be like a dream. Could you imagine an outfield of Trout, Bellinger, and Betts? Oh my God. I don't know how you
the Dodgers should take a look at Jacob deGrom.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, no kidding. Let's just stack it up at this point.
Baseball, just make a call.
Manfred's blowing it all up anyway, so might as well just say fuck it and go all out. Make it fun. But no, it should be a good season. I have interest in what the Mets are doing just because it's the National League, and I think having an owner like that is so good for baseball. I wish every owner had wish every baseball team had a Steve Cohen that just said, I just want to win, go spend my money. So I'm very interested to see what the Mets do because they're not in a place now where they have to trade and clear up cap space and Cano.
You guys see the Mets owner all on Twitter?
The what?
The Mets owner, Steve Cohen, all on Twitter?
Yeah, he's funny. Yeah.
He is funny.
He is. He's funny. And he's always talking about like stuff on Twitter. I think there was one question where he even asked the fans about like a player or some type of move that was being done. And he's like, so what do you guys think we should do or something like that? And I'm like, dude, like I would never listen to the fans, but this is a smart move to at least give us an idea that we think we're important. Like, even if you're not going to listen, this is so smart to do. But hey, he might listen because some of those players are like Bauer and JT Realmuto. So you'd really make your fan base happy. So as long as teams,
a few days ago I heard they were close with McCann and it never really happened, so I don't know what's going on there.
I think McCann is a backup if Realmuto doesn't work out. I think they're trying. I mean, there's some people that say they could go and sign a ton of them.
What I heard is that they want McCann more than Realmuto because obviously Realmuto's a lot of money, and first on their list is George Springer.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of want to balance the money with McCann because since he's a lot less money than Realmuto, and then give all the money to Springer or Bauer.
They kind of need, because those are probably more important than the catcher for them at least there. So yeah, it'll be fun. Usually I'm always interested in what the Dodgers are doing, considering we just won the World Series. I'm not too concerned. I would like to see some stuff going on with the bullpen. If you guys want to sign Liam Hendricks, that would be fantastic. You won't get any complaints here. Need a third baseman too, I think. I don't really, not time for Hosey. Don't really want to throw Rios or Muncy there full time. So figure that out too, and we'll be good to go. I had nothing else to touch on this week.
The interesting thing though, real fast, I don't know if we're running out of time, but the interesting thing is I haven't even heard anything about the Dodgers and Turner at all.
I know, I haven't either.
Usually you would hear, he'll end up back there, but he just wants to test the mark. I haven't heard zip. Nothing. All I heard was Blue Jays. And I was
one thing I will say though is since prior to Friedman, I don't think it was this way, but since Friedman took over, the Dodgers have been very, very quiet about what they do until it's last minute. So it's hard for me to imagine that they're not having any type of conversation with Turner. I can't imagine Turner wants to go anywhere else. So if there's a bidding thing, the Dodgers probably would want to keep it quiet, although Turner's agent probably wouldn't.
What if Turner's also in limbo because of the DH? Because teams don't want to play him at third. That might be a possibility as well.
Yeah, that could be too. I mean, even Turner could possibly. I mean, sometimes players make that decision themselves. Turner might decide my body's better if I'm DHing instead of putting me out there on the field. I can produce more if I'm only DHing instead of playing third base. So it could also be a choice to him that he may want to play third base, but he may also want that opportunity to DH. So he's getting up there in age.
That'd be incredible because we know you need to DH.
Yeah. Most players are never going to admit that it's actually time for them to hang it up or to switch things up. They rarely do, but hey, we'll see what happens.
If he just DH, you might play a full season for once.
However, if the Blue Jays sign George Springer, I don't know their money situation, but I have a feeling George Springer is going to cost a lot. They're even interested in Lemahieu from last I saw. Both of those guys are probably going to cost a decent amount. So I would imagine that probably, I don't think Turner's going to get.
Some people saying that Springer was going to get over 100. Seems like a lot, but.
I see a lot of people running on his playoff numbers, that he's like one of the best playoff hitters.
He has been, to be fair.
He has. Yep. So I don't know. As long as the Astros get worse, I'm going to be honest. That's all I really care about. Springer, he was a cheating Astro. He cheated, but he wasn't a dickhead about it. So I don't really have the feelings I do against like
that man really just stayed quiet.
Yeah, he's like, unlike Bregman, Correa, and Altuve, he's like, he knew he was going to hit free agency. He's like, I'm not doing this to myself. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. So it made it a lot easier to not hate George Springer, even though there was evidence showing he cheated. He kept his mouth shut and let the baseball world take over. So my thing is, I just want to see the Astros get worse, and I don't think they can afford to bring him back. And they're even talking about trading Greinke. So let that organization blow up.
Correa.
Yeah, let that organization blow up for all I care. Let the Oakland and I guess the Angels battle it out in the AL West. But yeah, so we, as always, hope to have more for you guys next week. I think we will. I'm not getting my hopes too much up for winter meetings, but Rule 5 draft and just baseball in general should have some stuff to talk about. So I've got nothing else this
prediction week. Next week we'll be talking about the Dodgers have made a signing or trade.
Yeah, something like that maybe. And that's not even to say anything big. It could be very minor, something they do.
That means I will 100% be wrong. So sorry for jinxing it.
Okay, well, maybe you'll be wrong and they'll get Hendricks because I said it'll be someone small. So we shall see what happens. But
my prediction is they're going to sign all the A's. They're going to get Hendricks and Simeon for no reason at all.
They might. I mean, it would make sense. Both of them could work. They both fit. So I don't.
They're going to trade for Matt Chapman. Let's get it.
Yeah, right. Could you imagine? That would cost so much. But yeah, with that said, as always, we appreciate you guys listening, following us on social, leaving ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts mean a lot to us. Even in this off season where things are going a little slow, we appreciate everyone tuning in. So make sure to follow us at Dodger Yard on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, even TikTok. Now we have, if you guys remember the LA Dodger Dog, you've seen him on some of our stuff. He's doing videos kind of almost daily to keep people up there. Check that out. You can find me at Randy_Radcliffe.
And you can find me at Michael Konu, MYKALKONU.
And we hope you guys have a good rest of your day, morning, night, afternoon, whenever it is you listen to this. Dodgers are still the World Series champions, and we've got God knows how many more weeks that we get to say that, at least 46. Extend Corey Seager, and we will catch you guys next week. Bye, guys.
See you later, guys.